But who cares about them? Well, let's talk about the old Reds. How good is this? We've got two 2011 Super Rugby Championship winners coming in, sitting on the battlers bench. I remember I was there. I was meant to be at an engagement party, and I was just like, well, I'm definitely not going. There's no way I'm going. And he's like, yeah, man, I get it. Like, I don't want to go either. He didn't want to go. And then I was front row, right behind the goalpost, section 310. Cry my eyes out as we won. How good was that? I mean, what was that? 11 years ago. But Will, would that be? I'll get your thoughts as well, Digby. But is that highlight of career sort of stuff, winning that 2011 Super Rugby trophy?
I mean, it's definitely up there. It's my highlight would probably be like being able to play 100 tests for Australia.
I guess that's all right.
No.
Yeah, fine, man.
No, because like that to me that was really special because like, everybody says you never expect to play one, but you never do. But I honestly can't remember it. It's been that long ago. I've never watched the game. I try not to watch the try. No, I tell you,
you know when you score that try the minute though. Remember?
I watch replays of games from 2010 because that was my favourite season. My all-time favourite season.
Yeah, 2010. Yeah,
because we had no expectation. We were 22-year-olds.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and we just went out there and played and had fun.
Yeah. That was a fun year of footy, eh?
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a career highlight. The one thing I remember the most out of everything was obviously like when I went to score that try, like when I made the break and went downfield, like that roar. I've never heard anything like that before.
It was so good.
Like it was deafening. And then I just remember thinking to myself, when I was running, I was like, surely I'm getting caught here. I need to find someone to pass to. And then no one wanted to tackle me. I was like, fuck, I'm going to go all the way.
They were sort of just ushering you towards the sideline.
Yeah, if you speak to Zach Guilford, Sean Maitland, he says like he didn't think I was going to get there as well, so he didn't chase as hard. And then eventually when he thought I was getting there, he started a sprint, and I was already there. So that's what I was saying. It was just a fluke.
Idiot. What a loser.
That's the one thing I remember the most is just how special it was for the crowd because we've all been long-suffering Queensland fans, you know, and having played for them I started in 2007. We were getting, 5,000 people at Suncorp. Eddie Jones is spraying us, telling us to give our match payments back. Jim Tucker was
money, Will.
Jim Tucker was telling us how terrible we were. We're a disgrace.
Your face?
No, in the paper. And those are the days where that's where you read it. So
I saw him on the weekend, and he saw me with a media pass, and he was just like, "What the fuck is it?"
What has this world come to?
I think that was the. I mean, it sounds wanky, but that was the thing I remember the most. It's just how special it was for the crowd, for the people, for everyone. It was definitely a moment in time I remember.
And Digby, yourself, like that was, I think, Will touched on it. 2010 was an exciting year of footy. There was zero expectations, and that was sort of the catalyst for that 2011 championship. It actually started the year before because it was just free-flowing and it was exciting. Yourself, Will, Quay Cooper, it was just hell for leather. Just do what you want.
I think being retired for 3 years, I think that will be up there. I think what I'll take away from that year is just my teammates, like just hanging out with Dale, Ados. I think it's the mateship that you go through that struggle when you lose a game. The guys beside you are these guys. They'll go to battle with you. So and it's just I think winning. I think we're only allowed to drink if we win games. And do you remember that?
Yeah.
And then if we lost, we weren't allowed to go out. Like we'll just go. Like, coach with link with us, mate. Go back home. We schedule on a Monday. Then we back with all the boys, and then we play, win. Then we back on the horse.
So that's why West was so shit for so long.
The thing is, the best thing about Link had like two rules. He said turn up on time and wear the right gear. Yeah. And the expectation is when you come to training, you fucking work hard. So because he kept it real simple, it allowed us to build a culture around just hard work and competitive. We were so competitive with each other. Yeah. And then it goes back to what he's saying is he said, look, if you guys win, celebrate, go have a beer, but then the rule kicks in, turn up on time, wear the right gear. And we did. Like, it's funny, like, we sank so much piss in 2011. Yeah. Like, sank so much piss. And we was very good.
It was
fuck science.
Yeah. It was a mixture, though. Like, we had all the old boys, like Wadiki, Wallace. Yeah. We had
I think that was the beauty of it.
The middle age was like myself with Peter Hines. And then you got these guys, but no one was bigger than. There was no one bigger than the group. Everyone was just all equal, and that's what I.
There's a good story about Quaid. So like in 2010 when we were playing really well. He probably started to get a bit carried away and think that he could do whatever he wanted to. And we had a team meeting, and Leroy Houston stood up and said,
"Nah, man, well, that was
2011.
That was 2011.
Yeah, it was
after
2011.
we got smoked by the Waratahs.
Yeah, so 2010 we'd obviously played really well. And then come 2011, he's probably, and he'd admit it too. So I'm not saying anything that he wouldn't appreciate, but he was probably carrying on a bit. And Leroy Houston stood up in the team meeting and said, "Listen, bro, you got to pull your head in. Like you're carrying on. Like you can treat us however you want, and carrying on with being disrespectful and being a bit of a pork chop." And that was sort of culture that we created, was you could be honest with each other and sort of have a go at each other, but understand that it was for the betterment of the team. And that was like a turning point for us, because we like Digby's saying, everything was about the team. You could be competitive as hell, spray each other, get in fights. Like Quaid and Rocket would always nearly be throwing punches, but it was all because we wanted to be better.
Who would win that fight?
Rod Davies, wasn't he?
Rod
Queensland
Davies, surely.
Junior.
Yeah,
He's got that look in his eye,
I'm not
Rod.
going to say.
Yeah, depends where the fight takes place.
Yeah, right.
They'd probably both be nude at a bar.
If it was at Fridays, maybe.
The Pickle Frisbee's reffing it. What's going on here?
Loser has to see my ass beard.
No, my arse dreads. No, but I think that's the thing. Touching on what he was saying, that's the thing you remember the most. Is like all the hard work that went into it, because the culmination of it obviously is you get to win, but you never remember. That's what I'm saying. Like you don't really remember the game or lifting the trophy. You actually remember like the trainings on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday each week that went into it, and that's what you get enjoyment from, I think.
And remember, like weekly, Link there was always something that he would add in to the preparation of the week. You know, there was always a goal, that we'd have to achieve. Like when they went to South Africa that year, they'd never won, whether it was 2 games or never beaten the Stormers at Cape Town. Yeah. So that was the challenge for that week. The Brumbies in Canberra, round 3, like we'd never beaten them down there. So it always set little goals, and then you tick them off. And then as a group, I think that was a really important way to start building belief within everyone's like, hey, hang on, people talk about your daily habits. You wake up, you make your bed, and you've accomplished the first thing, and then you go on and you attack something else. And I think when you look back at it now, it's like that's what Link was sort of creating in the background. And then by the pointy end of the season, the guys just had that much belief in what we were doing, had, ticked off so many little goals and climbed so many little mountains on the way that, as Will said, it just culminated in the win. Like it was like there was no other way it would go. Yeah. Than the Reds after the previous 18 months. It was awesome.
Do you reckon it's a bit of a shame that we still don't have Mackenzie in the fold coaching in Australia?
100%.
Yeah.
He
huge.
He was at the Waratahs, I think, before Reds, and he did the same, pretty much the same thing. And then Reds, I think, did we get the wooden spoon almost? The year before,
we were shit house for a while.
And then 2010,
we were terrible. 2010 we came 5th.
Yeah, and then 2010 you guys got just out of the 4, and then
11 we won it. 12 and 13 we made. 12 we made the quarters, and 13 we made the quarters.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stuff that went on behind closed doors. It's probably not the right place to discuss in terms of the fallout with him.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
I was like, hold
on. But I agree. Like he's like what Dos was touched on. He was incredible at motivating a group and building a culture in like the most simplest ways. And I think his tactical nous was excellent.
It really was.
Little things around like whenever we play the South African teams, for example, he would say, we're not kicking the ball out and we're running everything because we're going to tire them out. You look into the science around ball in play and things like that. Take quick taps.
Yeah, remember, and then when we played the Kiwi teams, and I've said it on this show a couple of times, he talked about attacking vertically through them.
Yeah,
we wouldn't spread the ball.
Yeah.
And I speak about that to teams these days, do you adapt your playing style according to who you're playing? And no one really does it. But I think because those years at the Reds, those 3 or 4 years that I spent there, we had the luxury of having Willie and QC directing us around, so we could adapt on the run. Yeah, because they was smart enough rugby guys to be able to do it. But yeah, you don't see it happening these days, and I think it became like the norm for me looking in and being there. I was like, oh yeah, all right. So it's normal to have a different game plan this week and then go in with a totally different game plan this week. But it's not really, and I mean, it just speaks to how special that group was.
So touching on the England point where you were saying like playing a lot on the short side. So I learnt that from Ioane McKenzie.
Yeah.
So when we played the Chiefs, they never committed numbers to the ruck and they would rush.
Yeah.
So his thing was like, people think that we just have to pick and go close to the line, but
Yeah.
what we're going to do is we're going to go vertical, pick and go through them, and then once we suck them in, I want you to play to the short side.
Yeah.
Because then a lot of the times when teams want to rush, they stack the open side.
Yeah.
So if you ever go back and watch those games around that time, we would just go through the middle, play short side, go through middle, play short
Yeah.
side. Once we got them behind them, and we're moving forward, then we play out to the backs.
Yeah.
And then the other beauty about it was like we had two calls. Broncos was play narrow and Chiefs Cowboys was play wide.
Yeah.
That was it. And then Chiefs was play off 10 and Bulls was play
Bulls
off
off
9.
9.
And then a lot of it was then dependent on myself and Quade, depending on if we wanted to play short side, open side. And
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was wondering, because I see them attacking the short side. I'm like, there must be a reason for this. I just didn't know what it was. But yeah, that's awesome. That's why I love Union. It's so tactical and, you've got to be smart.
Oh, yeah.
there's a lot more to it. Like there's some nuance.
If you're a half.
Yeah, there's
if you're in the
nuance.
halves.
Rugby league is very Franks and beans. It's just straight up and down. It's like basketball with tackle.